Hey, welcome back, friends. If you want to join the friends, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Today, we are going to be looking at just how much money you can actually make by killing these lava strykewyrms here. As you can see, the price of searing ashes are going through the roof. It's been really high for a really long time due to the aggression potions becoming more and more popular. But they're just about to hit 35,000 GP, so I figured it's about time to make a guide on how to kill these quickly, efficiently, and safely, seeing as how they are in the wilderness. That being said, you are going to want to only keep 3 items on you. Be willing to lose those 3 items. This is the wilderness. You could die. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the guide. Okay, let's just go ahead and start with the basics. First things first, what you're going to want to have on your person. I personally had the sign of item protection. This is totally unnecessary, but if you do get PK'd, it is nice to have that on just to protect an extra item, just in case if you somehow get skulled. There's so many skull tricks in this game right now that realistically do not expect to come out of the wilderness with anything you bring into it. That being said, I am bringing a tier 80 weapon instead of tier 90. I do have 3 tier 90 weapons, but I am not willing to risk those weapons. I did lose a noxious longbow when I was trying to kill the Chaos Elemental. I don't risk anything in the wilderness anymore. I did bring 3 items. None of them were extremely expensive. I always bring a body, legs, and a weapon. I don't expect to be losing these weapons or the armor pieces if I do die, but if I do, I don't want to be spending too much money to get them back. I would recommend using something like barrows, and for the main hand, just any tier 80 weapons such as Royal Crossbow. Royal Crossbow would be perfect for these. Another option that makes ranged a really decent option is that you can actually get the Wilderness Bow. You do have to find it throughout the wilderness. It does have a little loot beam over it once you do find it. If you would like to find that, you can go ahead and do that. But it does take a little bit extra time, and you have to be expecting to stay here for a couple hours if you're willing to go out and find that bow. Doesn't use any arrows, which would be a really nice thing. That's actually why I'm using melee in this guide, so I didn't have to have any arrows or any runes. That's just extra stuff that you could potentially get PK'd with. You'll see in my inventory on the background that I did bring overloads with me. I did have a lot of leftover, just like 2-dose overloads in my bank, so I decided to just bring 2 doses at a time, as well as a couple of prayer potions, just so that I could keep my tier 95 prayers as well as soul split up. This mostly sustained me. I did have some sharks in my inventory. It was just kind of as a backup, and honestly with tier 80 you aren't healing quite enough, but it's not actually that bad. You can kill quite a few of them, and since the searing ashes are noted due to the fact that we have the Wilderness Sword 4 in our inventory, it makes it so that you don't really have to bank that often. That being said, I would still recommend banking every 5 to 10 minutes, just so that if you do lose some, or you get PK'd, you don't lose all your money, you just lose a little bit of it. You never have more than about 1,000,000 GP on you at any time if you bank every about 10 minutes. All in all, not the worst inventory setup in the world, and seeing as how the bank is just north of the lava maze, not actually that hard to just bank quickly. Just bring some relatively cheap food such as sharks and go ahead and do that. All in all, supply cost is going to cost you about 400,000 GP per hour if you're using my setup. I was using Supreme Overloads, as well as prayer potions and the degrade cost on all my equipment. Not the worst cost in the world, but we will go ahead and see the loot right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the loot here that I got from 1 hour of doing this. So over 5 million GP. I don't know if I already mentioned it, but I did use about 400,000 GP worth of supplies. About 200,000 is from just using overloads the entire time, which are nigh on essential if you're trying to do these relatively efficiently. I did use about 100,000 GP in sharks and 100,000 worth of other miscellaneous potions like the prayer potions. All in all, it's pretty close to 5 million GP per hour, and this is not including any of the unique drops. Let's go ahead and look over some of the money that we got per drop though. The majority of the money did come from these Searing Ashes, 4 million GP, so that's why this is so good right now. Check the Searing Ashes prices before you actually try to do this guide, because realistically, they're not always going to stay at 4 million GP or stay at 34,000 a piece, assuming aggression potions are going to remain relatively useful. If a lot of people start doing this, they're not going to stay this high. But 4 million GP just from the Searing Ashes here. Do got some coins, about 300,000 worth of those. I got one Onyx Bolt Tip E, and that's about 200,000. There's Alkables, Dragon Bolts, again, just Alkables. And going down the list, mainly Alkables, did get 19 Black Dragon Highs. It's worth about 76,000. But all in all, you're not getting a whole lot of money from the common drops. These Ashes are where the majority of the money comes from. And if you happen to get a unique drop, that's like 30-40 million GP just in one go. I think realistically, this is a 6 million GP per hour money-making method just because of those unique drops. If you get one every, I don't know, 20 hours or so, realistically you can add 1 million GP to this drop table, and I would imagine that if you killed 2,000 of these, you would on average be able to get at least one of those drops. I doubt that they have much rarer of a drop rate than that. Hopefully you guys all enjoy this video though. If you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. I'd love it if you leave a like and a comment as well. As always though, have a good one.